For 20 years, a shadow has followed me, a weight I've carried since I was just a boy. It all goes back to a camping trip with my grandpa, deep in the forests of the Pacific Northwest. He was my hero, my best friend. That trip was supposed to be another adventure, another memory forged in the wild, but it became the source of a guilt that would haunt me for decades. We were hiking off the main trail, exploring, just like we always did. Grandpa was a man of the woods. He knew every sound, every track. That day, something was different. The air was heavy, silent. The birds had stopped singing. He paused, his hand on my shoulder, and told me to stay put while he checked something out. I was a kid, maybe 10 years old, and a sudden irrational fear gripped me. I didn't want to be alone. I begged him not to go. I cried. I made a scene. And for the first time ever, he gave in. He sighed, patted my head, and said, "All right, champ, let's head back to camp." We never talked about what he saw or what he thought he saw, but I saw the look in his eyes, a flicker of disappointment, a missed opportunity. He passed away a few years later, and I was left with this gnawing regret. What did I make him turn away from? What once-in-a-lifetime moment did my childhood fear steal from him? The thought ate at me. I replayed that moment 1,000 times, wishing I could go back, wishing I had been brave. Over the years, I became obsessed. I read every book, every article, every witness account of strange creatures in the woods. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it. The stories resonated with a strange familiarity. I started to wonder, could that have been what my grandpa was tracking? Was that the moment I ruined? The guilt was a constant companion, a whisper in the back of my mind telling me I'd failed him. I tried to live my life. I went to college, got a job, built a family, but the call of the wild, the need for answers, never faded. It was like an itch I couldn't scratch. My wife, bless her heart, understood. She saw the unresolved pain in my eyes. So, for my 40th birthday, she gave me a gift that would change everything. A solo trip back to that same patch of forest. "Go find your peace," she said. So I went, armed with better gear, more knowledge, but the same heavy heart. I set up camp in the exact spot Grandpa and I had all those years ago. The first few days were quiet, almost unnervingly so. It felt like the forest was holding its breath, just like it did back then. I hiked the same trails, tried to retrace our steps, searching for something, anything. I wasn't just looking for a cryptid. I was looking for forgiveness. On the 4th night, it happened. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. I was sitting by my campfire, lost in thought, when I heard it. A single, powerful snap of a branch, too loud to be a deer or a bear. My heart hammered against my ribs. Every nerve in my body was on high alert. I grabbed my flashlight, my hands trembling, and slowly stood up. The forest was pitch black beyond the glow of my fire. Another snap, this time closer. I could hear something moving through the underbrush, something heavy. It wasn't clumsy, it was deliberate, powerful. My instinct screamed at me to run, to hide in my tent and pretend I heard nothing. The same fear I felt as a boy came flooding back, but this time was different. I thought of my grandpa. This was my chance. I had to be brave, not for me, but for him. Taking a deep breath, I called out, my voice shaking, "Hello? Is anyone there?" Silence. Then a low guttural sound rumbled through the trees. It wasn't a growl, not an animal sound I could identify. It was communicative. It felt ancient. I swept my flashlight beam across the tree line, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm, and then the beam landed on it. It was massive, easily 8, maybe 9 feet tall, covered in dark, matted hair. It stood partially hidden behind a massive Douglas fir, its broad shoulders seeming to span the width of the tree. It just stood there, watching me. I was frozen, not in fear, but in absolute awe. Its eyes, they weren't the eyes of a monster. They were dark, intelligent, and held a depth that felt ancient and sorrowful. There was a profound sense of wisdom, of loneliness. We just looked at each other for what felt like an eternity. The world melted away. It was just me, the fire, and this incredible being. I didn't feel threatened. I felt seen, understood. It was like the creature could see right through me, right into that scared 10-year-old boy. It took a slow step back, deeper into the shadows, never breaking eye contact. It let out another one of those low rumbles, softer this time, almost like a sigh. And then, as silently as it appeared, it was gone. The forest was quiet again. I sank to my knees, tears streaming down my face. But they weren't tears of fear or sadness. They were tears of release. In that moment, staring into the eyes of the impossible, I finally understood. My grandpa hadn't been disappointed in me. He had chosen me. He chose his grandson's peace of mind over his own curiosity. His love for me was greater than any discovery, and in that moment I felt him with me, his hand on my shoulder, telling me it was okay. The creature didn't give me the answers I thought I was looking for. It gave me something far more important. It gave me permission to forgive myself. It healed a wound that had festered for 2 decades. The heavy weight of guilt I had carried for so long was finally lifted. I had come to the forest seeking a monster, but I found grace. I found closure. I packed up my camp the next morning, my heart lighter than it had been in 20 years. I don't need to prove what I saw to anyone. I don't need a plaster cast or a blurry photo. That experience was mine. It was a sacred, personal moment of healing. I finally understood my grandpa's last lesson. Sometimes the greatest adventures aren't the ones we chase, but the love we choose to protect. Now, when I look at my own kids, I get it. I would turn away from any mystery in the world to make them feel safe. That's what he did for me. My journey into the unknown wasn't about finding a forgotten cryptid, but It was about finding my way back to the memory of my grandpa and finally finding peace. The shadow is gone. For the first time in a long time, I can walk in the light. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've had an experience that changed you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Take care and stay curious.